Hey, everybody. Welcome into Business Salad. It's Friday. Thanks so much for joining us. Super excited for our guest today. We have Dessirae Mantas with us with the Rustic Texan Woodshop. How you doing, girl?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm so good. Thank you. Thank you for joining us while you're on vacation.
Of course, of course.
Yay. And so are you
Yay.
you're vacationing back in Texas?
I am. I'm back in Texas, my
Oh,
hometown. Well, I guess not my hometown, but my home state.
okay, well, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself since that's kind of a great segue into my first question for you. So you're from Texas.
Yes, I'm from Texas, born and raised in San Antonio, and I lived here until I was 20, and that was when I moved to Virginia for a job. And yeah, I just started my new life out there. I didn't know anybody. I was just like, this sounds like an awesome opportunity. I'm going to take it. I think I turned 21 a couple months later. So
Okay,
that was even more fun.
right?
um, and yeah, so I've been in Virginia for, I think 18 years this year. It's 18 years. Yeah.
You don't look old enough to have moved when you were 20 and have been in
Oh, thank
Virginia
you.
for 18 years. The
Thank you.
humidity, though, it's great for your skin, isn't
Oh,
it?
man,
Living
I'm
warm.
telling you, I feel like I'm not a Texan anymore when I come here. I'm like fanning myself, and my family's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "I'm not used to this. Like, where's our fall weather? Like, I'm ready for the fall weather now. Like, I don't even want summer anymore.
I know. You're like, I'm done. I've had enough in
I'm
Texas for summer.
done."
We can just move on to an amazing East Coast fall. This is going to be my
Yes.
first, so I'm super excited about that.
Ooh, so many activities to do. So
I know.
many. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have to guess that you guys down in Texas probably have about as many fall activities as we do in Vegas.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
they're there, they're around, but they're really not all that.
No, no, you don't want to be outside over here. It's either you're going to the pool or you're staying inside. It's so hot.
Yeah, yeah, because in Vegas it doesn't even cool down until like Halloween might be warm, might be cool. You never really know. So probably
Yeah,
the same.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Really
always tell
sad.
my family to visit fall and winter, so they can at least get a cool off
Yeah,
from the
absolutely.
heat.
Well, I'm happy that you're going to get to come back to the cooler weather soon and get out of
Yes,
there. But I
yes.
want to talk a little bit about what you do because I think it's so cool. So you own the Rustic Texan Woodshop, and that's so, so cool to me, especially because I've never met a female woodworker before. So can you tell everybody a little bit about your business?
Aw, thank you. Yeah, so my business started out actually 3.5 years ago, and that was when like the farmhouse signs were like really pushing through. The whole Joanne Gaines was like, getting her feel in the industry and stuff like that, and started her own business. And so I was just like, I just want to make like my own signs for my house. I always had that idea, like if I decorate my house, I want it to be from like unique places, antique shops. Like I have a story to tell about everything in my house. So I'm like, how cool would that be if I could make it myself and talk about how I made it? And it just kind of like just flourished from there. It was never intended to be what it has become now. I never thought it would. So I'm sometimes even shocked at myself, to be honest with you. I just wanted to make signs. That was it. My husband got me the silhouette machine,
Yeah.
do pencils, and I made a couple signs for friends. And my sister actually has my first one, which I was going to post today on my page. That was the very, very first one that I made, hammering in the frame and everything because I didn't have any tools. I had an electric drill. That was it. Um, so from
Okay.
that, I just got kind of bored and I was like, there has to be something else that will like catch my attention. And then that's when I got into scrolling, and that has just, yeah, that has taken over my life. I can just say that.
Well, it's amazing because your products are so beautiful. And I know that, at the end, we're going to talk about where people can find you on social and they can go and they can take a look at your artwork. I've seen you turn out signs for businesses that are absolutely gorgeous. I honestly assumed you had like formal woodworking background. So gorgeous.
Nothing. I'm
Just
and,
a,
and to be honest with you, I'm still learning as I go. There's still so much that I have to learn about. And but the exciting thing is that I want to learn about it, and I want to, soak in as much knowledge as I can. But no, starting off, I could not have told you what type of wood species was what tool was what. I had no idea. I was like looking up like what is I think one of the tools I needed was a miter saw, and I'm like, I don't even know what a miter saw is. So I'm like, what is a miter saw? And I was like, oh, that's cool. So bought one off of Facebook. So for almost 2 years, this $50 miter saw off of Facebook was my main tool, and it was just exciting. Like the whole journey has been exciting.
Just hearing about it is exciting, and hearing about how that's, I mean, like, that's truly the definition of self-made. Like, you're like, I'm just going to figure this out on my own. Because, girl, I have a Cricut machine and it's sitting in my garage and I haven't used it in I don't know how long. So you took that silhouette to the next level. And just,
I've heard that so many
I'm like,
times.
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah. No, I know of so many people that have those machines, and they're like, it's so overwhelming. And I'm like, but if you really want to do it, you'll figure it out. Like,
Yeah,
you
no, I
will.
don't think you really wanted to do it. The
That's
idea
funny.
seems great, and the execution, like, I made a couple of t-shirts. I made some vinyl stuff for my kids to put on their computers or their, mirrors or whatever to decorate. And then that was it. I was
Yeah.
done. So just how you turn that into something so amazing and so beautiful and so creative, I just think you're awesome.
Oh, thank you.
So now, you were talking about you didn't know, anything about the different species of wood. I certainly don't. Like, I could tell you that wooden baseball bats are made from white ash, I think, and that's probably the extent of my wood knowledge. So is there a specific type of wood that you like to work with?
Well, I think I'm always going to love to work with MDF is one of my most popular woods, because it's so easy to cut, and it's on the cheaper side, along with birch plywood, Baltic birch plywood. Those are the two that I mainly use. Sanded plywood, things like that. But those are all like beginner stages. I feel like I think in 2022 I want to actually get into more like hardwoods, like walnut, maple, cedar. But my problem is finding that customer that's willing to pay the extra money, or those that just like appreciate a nice grain of wood. That has been the only thing that has stopped me from going to that point. Most people are more about like price and things like that. So I don't
Yeah.
think I've advertised it enough, but trust me, I've gone into lumber stores and I'm like, oh, I'm looking at, all the different types of wood. Red oak, I remember my first time looking at red oak, I was like, I need to find someone that can
Really.
let me use that. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my own pieces with hardwood, and advertise it that way. And I found that that's been the most successful for me is, once I want to get into something new or dig my hands into something else, I'll make myself it, or I won't charge a customer for it, for it being the first time. Just like my resin, when I did my first resin sign, I didn't charge the customer as much as I would have, because it was my first time and I wanted to dabble in it. And I fell in love with that too. So the beautiful thing about it is so many avenues that you can go into. And you kind of have to like take a step back and think to yourself, okay, like I need to focus on a few at one time and not, get overwhelmed by so many things. So, but wood species, like, the more exotic woods, that's definitely up there and something I want to get into.
And I cannot wait to see you do that. I can't wait to see you make what you're going to make for yourself and put it on your site and start advertising it, because I know whatever you do is going to be amazing and
Oh my God,
beautiful.
I can't wait to show. Like it's in my head, and I just need to like get home and do it. But I'm probably not going to be able to do it till like Christmas because I'm so booked right now. But I'm like, I need to get it out of my brain.
Yeah. Yeah, right. You need to see it come to life. You need to make it come to life.
Yeah.
Okay, so now you mentioned that you go to the lumber stores, and which to me, I mean, honestly, I'm not trying to be like a prototypical woman, but I'm like, a lumber store. Like, I think, gosh, that's going to smell really good. And I feel so ignorant that I've never even been in one. Maybe it's because I'm from the desert. So it's like we don't really have those all over the place, maybe like you would back in this area of the country. Is that so? That's normally where you source your wood then, is from a lumber store or a lumber retailer, do you ever go out and find wild pieces of wood to use? I don't even know if that's a thing.
No, I've never done that. Again, I'm not as knowledgeable as I would like to be in that. I've been lucky enough to have some really good woodworking friends that I've been able to ask questions um, with. And actually, my first lumber trip was with another local woodworker, Sparrow's house. We went to, oh, I can't think of it's near Culpeper, I think. But I was like, I can't do this myself. I have to go with someone, and she knows a lot. So she actually taught me a few things, and it was so funny walking in there. Two women, these guys were like, I think they need help, and we are like, no, we
Are
got
they
this. Like, we're
moms?
good. Yeah. We're good. Thank you so much. And then, it's just funny, like the adventures this business has taken me on. I just happened upon this other woodworking guy. God, he's local to Gainesville and Ohana Woodworking.
Oh,
And he does classes, and he'll teach you how to do like resin, farmhouse tables. And he has a lot of like the Hawaiian woods, the exotic Hawaiian woods. And he has his own mill on his land, and a little shop that he's going to be opening up soon. And I stumbled upon him just because I saw, a sign on his truck, and I kind of followed him like a stalker to his place. And I was like, I just want to ask you a few questions. And he was like, oh, okay. And then, we got to talking like that. And now we've become really good friends. Like, I'll
that's
ask him questions every now and then. But like, I'm like, I swear I just want to ask you a few questions about wood. So he's been really great to work with too.
oh my God.
So, but it's so funny telling that story because people are like, I can't believe you did that. I'm like, that's just me. Like, I'm just so like
Right?
naive. Like, I'm just gonna follow this guy. Like,
Don't let them judge you, girl. There are women here that have stalked men for less. So
Oh
you're
yeah, yeah, true. So, and I did
oh,
have my big decal on my car, so like he knew I wasn't lying. So,
okay, good.
but yeah, no, I'm just lucky enough to be surrounded around a lot of people that I can go to for questions and things like that. And like I said, there's so much more I need to learn, and I'm not gonna, ever lie to anyone and say, oh yeah, I know it all, or I know a lot. I feel
Yeah,
like I can never say that because when you say that, there's so much more you can learn. So
yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Oh my, that's a really cool story about friendship. And I'm excited for you to learn more because I'm the same type of person. I love to learn. And now what I would love to learn is what is your favorite type of project? Because you're talking about all of these different ones. And I did peruse your website. So I see all the different things that you can make. What's your favorite thing to make?
My favorite thing to make, and I think like it's been a while since I've made one, are nursery signs. The
So,
themes that go along with it. Um, Aside, just because like like that's how you're decorating your nursery, and whatever. My second one, and I mean, I would probably say they're the same, but my second one are those that are dear to your heart. Like the it has a story that goes along with it. And I'll never forget my first one that I had with that. It was a Colorado sign that I had made with like the mountains and things like that. And it was a sister who was who wanted to make this for her brother who had a really, really hard life, and he was changing everything around, moved to Colorado for a fresh new start, and she wanted something to represent that new part of his life. And that was like, oh my god, I remember I cried when she told me that was it for me. I was like,
yeah,
this is what I'm here for. These are the type of signs I want to do, something that you can cherish, that you will always look back on and say, I remember that time in my life, or why I wanted this, or whatever. I love logo signs. They have been really great for me. I love recreating a digital image out of wood. I just don't have the same creativity with those as I would with my storytelling pieces, I
right.
guess.
No, yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense. Absolutely. That story gave me chills, by the way,
I,
about the brother and
yeah,
sister.
it still does. It's been over a year, and I still like, I think I kind of cried.
Yeah. You watched any of my previous interviews, you'll know that I can be a weeper on camera. So
So can I.
So now, do you think that that Colorado piece has been your favorite piece of all time that you've made?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. It has. Yeah.
and
It
that
just
story.
it has so much meaning to it. And, she ended up messaging me afterwards, just telling me how grateful she was for it, how much it meant to her brother. And, you know,
Mhm.
it's just a reminder to him, like, just keep going. Don't look back, keep moving forward. And it's like, it just makes me so, I don't know, just like butterflies inside, that a little sign can do so much. So yeah,
Absolutely.
I could do 2 signs a month if I got orders like that, and I would be totally happy with it. It's not about the quantity for me. It's about making a piece for you that you're going to love for years and years and years. I try to do the same thing with my DIY kits. It's so hard for me to come up with a piece that, like, you can display every year. That's not just one of those like dollar crafts that you do and then you throw in the trash. God, that would like break my heart if you did
Yeah.
that. So I try and come up with things that you will cherish for years, that your kids have made, and be like, I remember that holiday that we made this, or I remember why we made that, or like family DIY kits that you can love. Like, my house is full of them. Like, every year I put up my kids DIY kits, and I remember every single time we made those pieces, and I have pictures to go along with it and things. So I think I put way too much thought into all of my stuff, but it's fine.
I don't think you do. You put enough thought into it to make me emotional over your story about DIY kits. I mean,
There's
I
like
don't think
I feel like I
so.
never get to tell my story about them. Like, there's so much more meaning to it. It's just not a DIY kit, but you can't ramble on an Instagram post about why you came up with this or whatever. So I'm just like, one day I'll be able to tell people why I started it. So that was why.
You'll have to do that. You're like, that was why.
That was
That's the end of that. But you could always do like a reel that coincides with your posts for the DIY kits, and then everybody can check out the Instagram post, but go watch the reel
yeah.
about the story. That would be really neat. So,
Yeah. I have a
um,
compilation video that maybe I'll do one day. One day.
oh, oh, well,
Of
I'll be
like,
watching out. You let me know.
will do. Will do.
So now, how many projects on average do you complete a month?
I do around 8 to 12. It depends on how difficult they are. I don't showcase all of them. I don't take pictures of all of them. Sometimes I
Mhm.
just forget, and I'm like, I got to get this one out the door or whatever.
Yeah.
I need to do a better job of that. But yeah, between 8 to 12. My kids are going to be going into school this next school year. My youngest will be going for 3 hours, 5 days a week at my son's elementary school. So I'm gonna have 3 hours every single day to myself. Like, I can't even tell you the last time that has happened. So I'm super excited, and I'm more intrigued on like what I'm gonna be able to accomplish in those 3 hours. Like, what
That's
what can I do?
As a mom of four, I'm very excited for
Oh my
you.
gosh.
About having
4.
consecutive hours in a day to do with whatever you see fit because the kids are out of the house. It sounds amazing.
Whew. I mean,
Are you excited? You're like,
I'm
woohoo!
sad and excited, because I'm like, oh, should I be excited that I'm saying bye to my kids? But I should be excited. Like, you're going through like the mom guilt and
Yeah.
all of that. But
Yep.
no, I'm excited for my kids to, or for my youngest, I guess, more so. For my youngest, he's very attached to me, so I think he needs that. He missed last year preschool, so I'm kind of just like throwing him in this year. So
Good.
I think he's gonna be fine.
Mhm.
All my family's like, you need a break. My sister, while I've been here, she's like, you need a break, because like they just follow me. They're like the little ducks behind me, following me everywhere. And my nieces and my nephews are too, because they know if they tell me they're hungry, I'm gonna make them something.
Oh,
Or like, Auntie Desi, can we go here? Can we go there? And I'm like, yeah, of course. And so she's like, they're so spoiled. They're gonna be so sad when you leave. And I'm like, you know, makes me wish I lived here, but it makes the
oh.
time even more special.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I do really appreciate you joining me while you're in the middle of that special time with them.
Oh, of
Hopefully,
course.
this can serve as a small break from
Yes.
everything that you do have going on over there Auntie Desi.
Yes.
Love that. So when you look back at your earlier projects, do you wish you had done anything differently early on in all of that?
No, no, I don't. I love looking back on how all of that has brought me to where I am now. There's nothing that I would do differently. It all has a place for a reason, right?
Yeah,
And even though it took 3 years for me to get to the point that I'm at, I'm totally okay with that. I'm a patient person, and I know, time will, bring me to where I need to be at some point. Um, but I also didn't have the time then to do it. I had
yeah,
all my kids at home, and I will say my busiest time was COVID. It's crazy to think about it, but my busiest time was during COVID. I don't know if it was just because people were just at home and they just were looking at their house more and were like, I really need to do something with it, or whatever the case may be. But that was my busiest time, and so while I have a lot of bad things to say about COVID, I'm, especially grateful for COVID because I don't know if I would be where I am now
yeah,
without it. And, people just like noticing me and things like that or whatever. So it's been a
yeah.
wonderful journey so far.
And you said 3 years. You've only been doing this for 3 years.
For 3 years, yeah.
That's
And for a year of it, I kind of took off because I was a lot of people don't know this, but I was actually an art instructor or class instructor, whatever you want to call it, for the aviary girls. So I worked with them for a little bit, took some time off my my business, and I remember there was a point in time when I was like, oh, maybe I'll just like quit my business and I'll just stick with that. And God, do you like I can't. What if I would have done that? This would never be what it is now. So
yeah.
that's why I say everything always happens for a reason. But I will say I got a lot of like my creativity. I learned that I'm a lot more creative than I thought I was when I worked with the aviary girls and I was an instructor, and I got to see like different projects and people doing different things and learn how to get out of my comfort zone. Um, and realize like not everybody likes the same colors I like, and not everybody likes the same things
Right.
as I like. So that really helped develop me into, um, doing different types of artistry or whatever. And my sister always tells me, she's like, I don't even know where this came about. You had no creativeness in your body. And I have like the worst handwriting too. And I'm like, I don't know either. Like, and now I can like do a little bit of calligraphy. I've been working on it. It's been like a year. And I've gotten better. But yeah, she's just like even my own family, they're like, I don't even know where this came from. Like this was like out of left field. So, you know,
The artist in you was born.
yeah, I just like to surprise people, I guess, just I've
Keep 'em
always,
on their toes,
just been that
girl.
person. Yeah.
That's awesome. So now from an artist perspective, when you see a piece of wood, and I know that you said earlier that you have these ideas in your head, you just have to get them out. When you see a piece of wood, do you see the finished product or the vision when you look at it? And I'm not talking about like when somebody places an order for something specific. I'm talking about when you're just working as an artist. Do you see it before you start it, or do you kind of let the wood dictate what it becomes, or both?
No, I wouldn't say like I have like, an instant like thought of what it's going to be or what I want it to be. I had to sit back and I had to think about it for a minute. Um, really like let my brain like soak it in. Like, what do I want to turn this piece of wood? Because I don't ever want to like, um, what am I trying to say? Waste anything. So no, it takes a minute. And there's been some like wood I've had in my shop for, I would say, a year and a half, and I don't know what to do with it. So, and I'm like, you know what? I'll know what when I want blah, blah, blah. I'll know what I want to do with it when the time is right. So I'm just going to leave it there and I'm just going to let it be. And again, I haven't gotten the right order for it or anything like that. So no, I wouldn't say like that. I'm not like one of those like I rush into anything. It
Yeah.
takes me a while. And same thing with my orders. I always tell my customers, all right, give me a second. Let me process this. Let me think about it. and things like that, because I don't want it to just be like something like that. I don't think creativity for me works like that. It takes some time.
And that's why you turn out such beautiful pieces, is
Oh,
because of that.
because
Yeah.
I put too much thought into it. That's going back to that. I put too much thought into it, and but it's fine. And some of those reasons only I'll ever know. I've tried to explain it to people sometimes, and they're like, "Okay, whatever you say."
I just have a hard time believing that you've ever had a customer come to you and be like, this is so beautiful. You put way too much thought into this. No, girl.
Yeah, no, I definitely do have a good appreciate. My customers do appreciate, um, the how much thought I put into it. They're like, I would have never thought of it that way. And I'm like, and I give them like a million options. And I'm like, I know I just threw like 10 options at you, but like, this is why. And I probably confuse me more. Sometimes they're just like, whatever you think, Desiree, like, just go ahead and do it. So, but that's just, I don't think that'll ever change. I think that's how it'll always be.
That's me with the artists in my life, my tattoo artist, my hairstylist, everything. I'm like, you're the professional here. Just use that creative intuition that you have and just go with it. So the customers
Yeah.
that say that, I totally respect them and understand where they're coming from, because then
Right.
that way it makes it, giving you that creative freedom can
Yes.
really develop into something, like you said, unexpected and surprising, not just for them, but for you too. So I think that's really
Right.
cool.
Well, and my name is also on it. So, there have been a couple orders I've turned down just because I'm like, I'm just not really feeling it. It's not for me. And I don't want someone to look at that and then see that I made it and think, like, associate me with that or whatever. But I'll definitely send them to other people that I know that would probably take it on. So, I don't want everyone to think like I can do everything. No, I can't. But if I can't, I will definitely point you in the right direction of someone that I know can. So I'm very big on like supporting local businesses,
Yes, me too.
even if they're in my same line of work. I would rather them go to someone that I know than a random person and not be happy. So
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely the artist's responsibility in you to be able to turn down those projects and say, no, this is something that I do for a passion. And, whether you couldn't be passionate about it or you think that maybe somebody that you collaborate with or refer to would be a better fit. So I love
right,
that. I
right.
have nothing but respect for that.
Oh, thank you.
So if somebody else was looking to break into woodworking, is there any advice that you could give them, whether resources that they could turn to or starter kits or just anything that you think would have been helpful when you were getting going?
I would just tell them to research as much as they can. There's so many. I feel like areas where you can, teach yourself so many things. You have YouTube, you have Pinterest. You can go on a social media page and look up, whatever it is you're looking up. I'm in a bunch of woodworking groups. And I learn a lot from them too. And then, do something for yourself. Take a moment, go, like what I did is I went into Lowe's. I had never been into the lumber side of Lowe's my entire life until I started this. And I did that. I just went over there and I started walking around and reading. Like, I still didn't know what any of this stuff was used for, most of it. But I was like,
Yeah.
at least like I have a mental picture of what it is. I walked through the tool sections and like just I looked like a weirdo probably, but I was just like, okay, that's this. And then I'd be on my phone, like, what exactly does that do? And watch a video on it. I mean, there was like so much that I did before I got my hands into actually doing it, because I didn't want to do it, excuse my language, half-ass. I
Yeah.
wanted it to be like, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right. And not saying that everybody has to have that same like mindset, but read about it, watch videos on it. And if you still catch yourself wanting to learn more, then it's something that you really want to do. But if you're kind of like skipping through a video or whatever, then maybe it's not your thing.
Yeah.
This just happened to be like something that I just really really wanted to learn about. And actually, speaking of, you didn't know any female woodworkers, uh my first video I ever watched were of two sisters that were woodworkers, Shanty Too Chic. And I became obsessed with them. I would watch the videos of them doing stuff, and they did a really good job of explaining things. And
Mhm.
they even did one segment where they're like, if you want to start your own business, you need three things. And it was a miter saw, a hammer, and nails, obviously wood. But they're like, that's all you need. And that was exactly what I started off with. And they'll go through the process with you and explain why they're doing it and the terminology and all that stuff. And yeah, so I was like, I saw them with a tool belt and I was like, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. That is my destiny. Like, I'm not a girly girl. I'll wear high heels, I'll wear a dress, I'll wear makeup if I have to. But honestly, I just want to get like down and dirty and in like some gym clothes and like, go the rest of go about my day. So
Yeah.
I just knew it was for me. Like if you feel it in your heart, then that is what you're supposed to do. But if you don't, then don't waste your time.
Yeah. If you're not moved by it, find something that moves you, right?
Yeah, and that's okay, and that's
Yeah.
totally fine. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for all of this today. I've really enjoyed chatting with you.
Oh, thank
Please
you.
let everybody know where they can find you on the web, on social, whatever it is.
So I have Instagram and Facebook. I'm more available on Instagram, I would say. I do Facebook, but Facebook is just not my friend, for my business at least. But it's the Rustic Texan Woodshop on Instagram. It's the Rustic Texan Woodshop on Facebook. There's no like hyphenations or anything. I try to make it as simple as possible. My website is therustictexanwoodshop.com. I'm on Etsy, but I'm not sure if I'm going to continue on Etsy. So I'm on vacation mode on that. If I do end up continuing that, I'll post about it. If you do follow me already and you've seen that I haven't been posting anything, I will be by next week. I'll be home and I'll be back in the shop. And I have a lot of things planned for the rest of the year. So, and 2022, I think I'm going to have some big news. So stay tuned for that. We'll see if it ends up, happening. But yeah, it's exciting. It's getting exciting.
Oh my gosh. Well, now you know I'm going to keep you once we're off camera so I can find out what the heck can I get it out of you. That's
Yeah.
awesome. No. And
Yeah.
I know you're going to be busy when you get home because I'm sure you've had plenty of orders come in while you've been on vacation. So I'm excited to see what you turn out.
Oh, thank you. And if I haven't gotten back to you, I will, I promise. But I always like to remind people it's just me. There's nobody else. So,
Yeah.
doing an email for me or responding or whatever. So I will get back to you.
Good things come to those who wait.
Exactly. Patience is a virtue.
That's right. And for everybody out there watching, I will post all of her links in the comments on all of the feeds so you can easily find her and see her amazing products. And Dessirae, again, thank you so much for joining me this
Thank
week.
you.
And I hope you and everybody out there, I hope you guys all have an amazing weekend. We'll see you next Friday.
Bye.
Bye.